Sometimes life, yeah, it gets so deep. Look who you get, them want their peace. But between paradise and poverty, they search and search for the remedy. But what they see is life's true beauty, hid behind walls of lies and cruelty. So just cast aside all your doubts inside. Don't hide your light. Oh my, oh, don't cry. Flowers by your side.
Peace, peace, and welcome into the space. Of course, this is Honor Life Global Ministries Midday Affirmative, and I am Ema Yakira-Eden. Welcome, welcome. So peace to you, Aki Jason. Welcome to the space. Peace, peace, peace. Shalom, Margie Marie Art. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Yes, and thank you, Sister Yamina, for maintaining everything backstage, right? It's no secret. I'm always referring to like the magical hands that keep this all together backstage. So peace to you on New Radio, and thank you for being here. While I give a moment for everyone to come into the space, I, of course, want to just share some of the announcements. And I know we have some slides that can also like visually lay out what's coming, but we are fully preparing for like literally packing up.
No matter, we is your people, original people. They go west, they go east, they go north, they go south.
Preparing for the Anu retreat. So if you have registered, fantastic. We look forward to seeing you all. If you haven't made your final payment, please go ahead and do that. If you're still on the fence, which I don't know why you would be at this point, you can still register and get all of the information to you, right? So you know how to prepare. And of course, Last Strong, Akoti Yafe and Chief, and of course, Chief Yu, I was very present, gave quite a comprehensive list of what to bring, how to prepare, and what to look forward to. So peace to you, Chief Yuya. Thank you for joining us. Peace, Saftanaya. Peace, Aki Darian. Peace, Abba Ross Cush, Aki Zach is in the space, and Master Menelek. Before I go any further, of course, I have to give praise and gratitude to the creator of all, Yahuwah, for giving us just this opportunity to be a reflection of what he has envisioned for us to be here in this physical realm. And I'm just grateful for the constant and consistent opportunity to be that, to reflect, to be an Anu and to understand what a covering is and the value of being a reflection of my covering. Gratitude, of course, to Chief Yuya for curating this space and for maintaining a vision and for just the grace and the patience and the time, right, that is put into each and every one of these segments and all of the teachings and instruction that we can draw from to kind of just offer as precepts, right, for anything that we speak to or anything that I'm speaking to. And of course, just thank you to the Anu community. With that, we are going to talk about Ayin, or seeing. And As I was preparing for this, I mean, I think most of the times y'all may realize that I share from what I have been studying on, what I've been digging into, and somewhere along the journey, instead of me thinking that, okay, I need to come up with a theme, what I was instructed to do is to consider how the creator is coming forward. And once I took it based exactly on those instructions, it being how I prepare. Every day is preparation. Every time that I open scripture or I open any text and I'm exploring and building and dissecting, it becomes a seed that can later, create something like this segment. So this segment is being brought to you by the Hebrew letter Ayin. As I was preparing, I felt like it was very Sesame Street like, because everything that we're going to discuss today is connected to this singular letter, which we'll discover is actually, and it's already been said by Chief and many others who break down Hebrew much more eloquently than I am able to, that even every letter is a word, which means it's letters strung together. So we're going to go dig into that. We're going to look at some scriptural references. We're going to look at, of course, some Anu specific content. So there's definitely the command the day 9:17, which the title is Knowledge God. And knowledge God is actually 1 and 7, right? And I'm going to talk about that 1 and 7 a little bit, because that is also it's also connected to the Ayin. We will look at Genesis 13 through 15. We're going to look at Genesis 3:5. We are going to pull on, perhaps we're going to pull on the Anu way under names. Sometimes, the flow just flows wherever it goes. And yes, exactly. Supreme mathematics. Come on with it. I'm a try. And there's also, I'm going to pull from the real Genesis chapter 3. There's some quotes from there that we're gonna dissect when we look at Genesis 3:5. Let's see if I can. Oh, I can zoom in. Oh, yay. I didn't know I could zoom in on the comments and see them much clearer. There's a hack there for the one who's visually impaired, but what the heck? Oh, oh yeah, sorry. There was something that happened with the music earlier. I don't know. Yeah, pardon. Let's see. Peace, Ema Sequoia. Peace, Abba Heru. Welcome to the space. Thank you for being here. Peace, Sovereign Eats, and Ayin. Yes, and Chief has placed Ayin down there. Here, let me highlight that. Yes. So there you have it. So the first thing that I wanted to share is why I chose to explore Ayin. And it actually has to do with my name. So many of us in Anu participated at one of the closed retreats. There was a naming ceremony. And so down, you see where is it? There it is. You see my name there. It's Yakira-Eden. And that Eden part is Ayin Dalet Nun. Ayin Dalet Nun. And so this entire time since receiving my name, and it's been a little bit over a year, I have been led to and instructed, of course, to dig into not just, well, what does the word Eden mean? What is Yakira or Yakar, scripturally? What do these words mean? But actually, the more I dug and the different angles and journey that the name took me on, I began to realize the significance of each of the letters. A little bit, right? It's not a full realization. I don't think any of us, and please share what your journey has been, whether there's an Ayin in your name or not, what your journey has been like for those of us in Anu who have participated in the naming ceremony. I would love to hear a little bit about how your journey has been with digging into your name. Because in that, right, in that name, we're actually, well, first, I think it's important to recognize, and this is from, let me find it, from the Anu Way, under names. It says the first name is the opening rite, right? When you prove yourself to be a devoted and empowered member of Anu, you will receive your suffix after 12 months. So many of us received that last year. Your middle name entitlements, middle name entitlements are earned through spiritual right. Last names are produced when there is a functional homestead. Until these things occur, you will only be known by your first name, as your purpose in the sight of the originator will always be recognized despite any merited rites of passage. So that's acknowledging that the first name that we're given is connected to our purpose in the sight of the originator, right? And so that's that moving force that we should always bring forward in this space, right? And as we move as Anu in the world. What'd you say? Oh, no more squinting. Yes. Well, I'll say, Master Amanda, like I always use my iPad, and I notice when I zoom, which is to like move my two fingers away from one another, it actually zoomed in on on these comments. Yeah. Yeah. It helps me. I'm actually having some challenges with like my eyes and them being very, very itchy. And so I contemplated wearing my glasses, and I thought, like, even in my sleep, I kept having visions of my eyes being all puffy and swollen like they were yesterday and for the past few days. And even that, I had to say, how appropriate is it that I'm going to talk about Ayin, sight or seeing, right? And which is not at all from the spiritual eye, from the physical eye, pardon me, but the spiritual eye that Ayin, and my eye, if my eyes are all puffy and swollen, it's like the show must go on. It will be done. It will be done. And thankfully I woke up and they were not puffy and swollen, just a little itchy. So yeah, that's something to be grateful for me. But yeah, that feature is to just kind of zoom in. So again, in the Anu Way, under names, it's specifically making the connection, Chief is specifically making the connection between that first name being our purpose in the sight of the originator. So these aren't just names that are like picked from the sky and like, well, they are, but not just randomly, right? They are a distinct designation. And I thought it was also interesting that they came after a minimum of 1 year of me doing something in the space, right? So me actually moving and functioning in the space in a way where I'm actually showing, right? I'm showing that I'm devoted, and I'm showing how we are empowering what this movement is all about, which means we're not stagnant and we are moving as well. So that's just a little bit about names and how I started, piecing this message together. Ayin is the 16th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And if you look Ayin up, you'll see that it would mean I. We're going to look into scripture, and it specifically is referring to I, but I can't even say eyes, and I can't even necessarily say your physical eyes, because it's not quite that. It's not quite that. And I keep just thinking about it's a connection to also sight, and it's a reminder of our connection to the Creator. And so in that sight, or in that connection to the Creator, there is that Ayin, and what Ayin is comprised of. And so Ayin, or that sight, is actually charging us, right? Charge that the letter, the energy that that's brought forward in that letter is charging us to put our sight on the Creator. Right. And there's this persistent, I didn't count, like I didn't do, but you can do it. There's a simple, lift up thine eye. How many times that's actually used in scripture. But I actually pulled on Genesis 13 and 15. And that's the scripture that I wanted to use as a reference for lifting up thine eye. And there in Genesis 13:15, you have Yahuwah giving instruction, right, to Abram. So he's giving him instructions, and it says, but the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before Yahuwah exceedingly. And Yahuwah said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art, northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land which thou seest to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. So I had to open with this particular reference to scripture, because it was like so full of what I was studying with Ayin. So first of all, you have the Creator speaking, right? Giving instruction. And he's saying, yeah, so I just did a thing, right? I did a thing. And you have to know that this thing happened, right? This happened to the men of Sodom because they were wicked and they were sinners, based on my standard, right? Based on the standard of the Creator. And it was clear, right? Exceedingly, this is what was happening. And then there's the instruction to Abram. So that's what happened to them. But let me tell you what I need you to now envision. So don't worry about what I just showed you, because this is the reason that happened. Now I want you to envision this thing. Lift up thine eyes. And so I know for the little bit of time in my younger days when I went to church, when you hear lift up thine eyes, everyone starts looking up, right? You lift up thine eyes, or, lift up thine eyes to the hills from whence my help comes. There's always this looking upwards with eyes open, but that's not at all what I'm understanding this to mean now, right? This lifting up thine eyes, and it's like, lift up now thine eyes. So it's saying, after everything that just happened, lift up right now. See the vision that I'm placing before you right now, because this is my master plan. Like, this is where I'm bringing you. So never mind what's happening around you. Never mind what you're seeing with your, I like to call your ojos, right? Never mind what you're seeing with those physical eyes. Lift up your eyes now and look from the place where thou art. So look beyond this place. Look beyond, look to the north, look to the south, look to the east, look to the west. And when you think about it, if it's literally, how far can the literal physical eyes actually see? I know mine. I can't actually see beyond, like, literally the monitor, right? Which is not even arm's length in front of me. So if this was a literal instruction for me to use these two aged eyes, I won't be seeing the vision of Yah, that's for sure. I don't know that I'd be seeing much. So in this scripture, what it's speaking to is seeing the Creator's vision, using the eyes that are the eyes of the creator, or maybe some may say even it's that first eye, right? Or that divine eye, to see what is being prepared for you. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. Now, the thing about acknowledging in that verse 15, for all the land which thou seest, what land is he seeing if he's using his physical eyes, right? It's making it very clear that I'm telling you to see my vision, see the vision of the creator, and don't move on what you're witnessing, right, through these two things, but rather, as you take this journey, know that this is the vision, this is the mark, this is what I've already established for you, and not just established for you, but also to thy seed. And I thought that was interesting, the idea of the seed being referenced there, because Chief Yuya mentions it in the Command the Day segment. Hold on, I want to make sure I'm referencing the right. Oh, what did I do? I did something. I'm referencing the right thing. In the Command the Day, no, actually it's in the Genesis, the real Genesis chapter 3. He actually breaks down what Ayin, or what that site. Oh, you got stuff in the chat. I'll get right there. What that Ayin, what the pictograph of that Ayin looks like. And yes, if you look it up, you'll see that there's the eye, right? There's the eye, and even the pupil is in there. But it's also, depending on what version of the pictograph you look at, there's also the representation of it being a seed. So this word to see is the eye, but it's also the seed. And I know when I considered like the scripture, and I have so much of this, and it's kind of like all rumbling around in my head. So even though I have my notes, we're gonna just kind of flow. That idea of the seed made me even think about, and the vision, right? How it connects to that vision. It made me think about Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. So even there, it's again, this recognition that if you don't have that Ayin, if we're not maintaining that lifted eye, right, upon the creator, there's death, which is precisely what happened in Sodom, right? That was the aforementioned scripture. That was the reference. It's like, okay, in Genesis 13, this is what I did, but don't worry about that, because this is what you're going to see. Well, peace. I see. Okay, I think you're going to be added. I think there's somebody back there. Peace. Welcome.
Peace. I am enjoying the topic today.
Oh, yay. Good.
I am. A lot has come to my mind in regards to vision, and you spoke about the seed. And my favorite chapter of the Anu Way is vision. And so I just wanted to add, like, when you spoke about the seed, I just wanted to read what it says in the Anu Way. It says, to align with the vision of our God, we must travel deeply inward to where Yah has deposited itself. And then it says, our heart dimension holds the will of Yah within us. The seed of soul deliberation resides in our hearts. Through our obedience to what is disclosed to us in revelation, that seed grows and becomes the primary orientation for our worldview. So when you mentioned like the seed, that's what I thought of. I was like, oh, it says it in our new way as well. But I just think about like when we receive a vision, like we have to travel deep inward. So that comes through what is, disclosed to us in revelation. So it speaks to that personal connection with the Most High Yah. So that's what came to my mind so far. But yeah.
No, thank you. Yeah, and number one, thank you for jumping in. Number two, thank you for sharing the quote. I tend to like jot down little thoughts when everyone comes on to share, and that traveling deep makes me think of that is what's required, right? That deep travel is only possible when you're rooted, right? When you're foundated appropriately. Because if I like kind of just going back to the scriptural reference, if Abram, if I'm not already connected to the creator and I'm told, yeah, let me show you what everything I just did in Sodom, this is the reason why, and this is what's coming, but this is what I have for you and your offspring. If I'm not rooted in and seeing, and if I don't have the seed of the creator inside of me, what am I seeing when I look in those four directions? Right? Am I walking in fear thinking, well, how am I, there are nations in those nations. How are they going to be mine? There are already people living there. How is this going to be mine? I don't even have this a major army. Like how is this all going to happen? It makes me think of, how we are charged to do it and do it scared. We're doing it even though we may be scared because there is a larger vision and there is something much greater that's guiding and dictating our steps. And actually, that's a perfect segue for the video. I've been playing with like different ways to keep everybody engaged. So there was a video from, and it's actually from the Command the Day. So we're gonna cut to that and see what you got.
As for me, what I'm telling you is that you get much farther and you're able to stay more you're able to stay focused when you're able to define yourself by your original contract as opposed to by your failures, because that vision allows you to keep moving forward, because you might say, okay, yeah, I messed up here, this didn't work out, but there's a vision and I know that, okay, let me just keep inching forward, and with every failure I'm getting closer to success. With every no, I'm narrowing down where that yes is. So, and I know where I want that yes to take me, as opposed to like social media. We just want to look cool just for the sake of looking cool. You know, we want to show the best of us for who and for what. Like what are we building up to? You know, and I'm gonna say this before I go. A lot of people have noticed over the years, and I really enjoy those who've been able to decode from enlightenment to transformation. Chief speaks, all of it, and have said like, Chief, I see you've been building up to something all this time. Like when I go back and watch everything, I see like there's almost like a pattern, and I'm always tickled by that because yeah, like do you imagine that I just sat and turned the podcast or the live on and just started so blah 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 blah, blah and quantum physics and quantum theory of that? No, we're building up to something, right? And there's stumbles along the way, right? Some segments I started, some segments I killed, some segments had hosts, and some of those hosts I had to take off, or along the way there was some stop and goes, and for various different reasons, but there was always still a vision of where we're going. And that vision now determined what the programming was going to be. Okay, they need some of this, they need some of that, they need some of that. The terrain is changing. Let's do it this way, let's do it that way. Determine what the programming is going to be.
All right. So that vision now determined what the programming is going to be, right? That's it's like no matter how we may dip and turn or move, or we have these starts and stops in life, if we're moving in that Ayin, if we're seeing that everything that I am doing is based on purpose, right? It's based on a vision. And we're recognizing that it's not my vision, right? It's not, I think we're all, I've heard you say it so many times, but I know I was asked, and I know many were asked, well, what is your purpose? So what is your vision, right? And you may come up with something, and then I know for myself, I had a particular vision, and I said, but after I said it, but I need to still make the same amount of money that I make now. I need this, and this, and this. And he kind of said, I could still literally hear it. Oh, that's not going to happen. And I thought, are you going to tell me? And then
Yeah.
tell me my vision is not going to come true. Like, this is the
Um,
vision I know the Creator gave me. And he said that may very well be true. But once I put my butt and my chopping screw on the end of like my expectations, I then negate the vision entirely.
Right. That reminds me of the command the day on vision, like how we try to jump in and control the vision. Like if you receive the vision from the Most High Yah, then you sit back and just let the Most High orchestrate. You don't need to like, oh no, I think I want to try to make it happen this way or make it happen that way. And it's like you're inserting your own idea. And it was shared that's Satan. Like that's not what you're supposed to be doing. So yeah, that's what came to my mind. And even the segment on walk with vision, like how you have to have that level of faith when you're walking. And yeah, like it's really like, okay, like the example he gave with I forget the person, but he was like he got his eyes spat on and he had to walk with his eyes closed, and how much faith he had to have. Like, oh man, like I'm getting spit on, like what the heck is going on? Like how much faith that takes that you like, okay, I'm keep walking, but yeah, like something stronger has to have you rooted, like you were sharing. Like you have to really be rooted in something to really be like, okay, I'm gonna keep walking with this. It has to be stronger than just you know what, this is just my ideas coming from me. I mean, if it is, then it's just like that's ego. And so yeah.
And then your rooting won't be very strong. So when you falter, right, because that's an egoic vision. When you falter, perhaps you don't even get up and continue trying because the vision wasn't really rooted in much. And it's interesting because I considered pulling on the example that you just referenced with that faith walk of, giving sight to the blind man. And I even thought of what you shared on, why he was seeing trees like men. So it's like with that, yeah, I'm not seeing right. So I'm not seeing right with these two. But that's why, in that moment, there was this, well, walk with me. Right. So it's like, as Chief is describing, it's like, well, he had to have him kind of arm in arm. So I'm leaning on what you're seeing. And again, that does connect to the Ayin, because that Ayin sight is really telling us to look up. So when you're looking up, yeah, you're, I don't know if anyone has ever done any of those exercises with the pineal, where you kind of close your eyes and you look up, right? Your eyes are closed and you look up. And I see things coming in the chat. Hold on, let me go through. Okay, Ema Sequoia, that reminds me of that vision from the Most High. Comes with instruction. The path is always laid out for you. Absolutely. Right. And often the instructions come as we're doing, right? Because we know the doing is that wisdom. So you can sit and ponder. You can sit and say, I received these instructions, and they're, do what I tend to do. I come up with 15 plans for how beautifully it can get done, and then never get to doing the thing to come to that understanding, or to birth it, right? To bring forth the understanding of it.
Yeah. And sometimes we want to skip the step too, like, and then we find out you got to go back to the steps that you skipped. There's an order in which the Most High wants you to follow. That's all a part of the manifestation of the vision. Like each component has to be done. So.
Right. Yeah, I want to go. Okay. So Master Menelik says, did I do that? Well, I'll do this one first. That phrase, lift up thine eyes, shows up 10 times using your sponsored app. My favorite app. I'm not even going to acknowledge them. I said this segment is being brought to you by the letter Ayin. So I'm not gonna change my sponsor this go round. And then he says it reminds you of the line that Aki Zach sponsored, The Matrix. Yeah, a line from that Aki Zach sponsors The Matrix, where Neo asked, "Yeah, why do my eyes hurt?" And Morpheus says, "Because you've never used them before."
Oh yeah, I remember
Right. That's that divine vision, right? That's that you've never used what we're now activating in you. And as Abram was being told, like, don't worry about what you just saw. Like, because just, I mean, it was said in a study session, and I can't even repeat like the
that.
questions that Chief hit us with about our creator, and about, angles that we had not considered as it pertains to Yahuwah. And as I looked at Genesis 13, I kind of said, well, he had to be reassured first. Like, nah, don't be shook by what you just saw. Like, don't worry about them. They got what they had coming because they have exceedingly been disrespectful. Worry about and hold on to this vision. Let me plant this seed in you. This is, so it's first, let me put some fertilizer. That happened because they were not obedient. So that tells you, oh, okay, the fertilizer is obedience. All right, so this soil has to remain obedient. And now that you're obedient, now that you have that fertilizer, because you don't want what happened to them, now make sure your eyes are focused on what I'm giving to you and yours. And that seed being those generations, right? There's so much in the seed. And it just made me think of, those generations and how that Ayin vision or that Ayin sight really becomes that what leads, what's guiding or what's leading. So, that snippet from the command the day, or as she put it, the COVID chief, it's like that segment from the command the day was a reflection, in my opinion, of leadership, Ayin, or that sight of a leader. So yes, if you look Ayin up, it'll say to see, it might say, actually I have some of, it may even talk about, the like salvation or how we get to that salvation through Ayin. I also think it's really interesting that Ayin, it like Alpha, like Aleph, is silent. As a letter, it is silent. So
interesting.
it doesn't really, it's like, to me, it's as silent, like it being silent would connect to not using these physical eyes, right? You're using a different kind of sight, and even an acknowledgement of light. Like if you think about how the physical eyes work, right? It like refracts light. So depending on how the light is moving within your eye determines how well you're able to see a thing. And if if my eyes are set upon the creator, then that, or if my eyes are set upon my covering, right? Or if you're mated, your master, then that is the light that your eye, right? Your movement is all guided by. That's the guiding light. Makes me think of guiding light, an old soap opera. Okay, Saptanaya says that makes me think of Psalms 32:8. I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. Yeah, I will guide thee with mine eye. Right. So he's guiding with, right, again, that I, EYE, if you look it up, I'm sure it's Ayin. It's not our vision. We're being guided. Absolutely. Absolutely. With mine eye is, yes, it is the Ayin. Right. Right. So it's kind of like once we get the formula, and that was something that I looked at when I was preparing the book that I wrote. How scripture is a formula and technology, and how as we're taught, right, to really look at and understand what these words mean. Yeah, we never actually know, right, because we weren't there. But as best as we can dig and explore, we can come to understand that once I know Ayin and its many manifestations and iterations, if I can recognize that, then I to me, it makes me very excited. Like to say, yeah, I bet if you look that up, it's gonna be Ayin again,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like all roads lead back to Yah's vision, Yah's sight, seeing with that creator's eye. And I'm intentionally staying away from first eye and pineal because
Mm.
it's been so adulterated. It's kind of like, no, I'm gonna call it what I'm understanding it to be and seeing it in this moment to be, right? It's the vision of the creator, it's the creator's sight. So when I'm instructed, when it's a joke, right? I may think it's a joke when she says, oh, you seem to be thinking clearer or presenting more clearly with your glasses off. Like, leave them off. I leave them off. And it's like, well, let's see. Is there, maybe there's something to not seeing with
Mm.
these physical eyes that will allow me to
Yeah.
see with the creator's eye. You wanted to jump in?
Yeah, it makes me think about like because the physical eyes, it can be an illusion. Like what we see is not always how things appear to be. So it just makes me think about our supreme mathematics. When we see with the vision of the creator's eye, um, it's just like we're moving beyond what we see with the physical, and we're able to see what's really there, what's really underneath it. And so yeah, that's what came to my mind.
Okay. So, oh, peace, Sapta Hava, peace. It says
So,
it reminds me that faith is not blind, but knowing that your root steps are ordered by the Most High. Yeah, yeah, that your steps are ordered. Which would mean even your stumbles, right? Which is something that in that snippet she talks about. Yeah, there may be stumbles, and there may be falls, and there may be things that we do that we no longer do, but it's all, if you're focused on that bigger vision, if you're focused on the vision that's given to you by the creator, and that's what's guiding you and that's what's leading you, and you're lifting up your eyes to that, to the creator in every moment, then you will constantly be doing what is good, right? um what is good. Yeah, let's see, is there anything else in the chat? Ditching the glasses, level up. That's right. That's right. That's what I'm talking
right.
about.
No, I think about the Anu way where it says we must live the image implanted at the core of our hearts and confirmed by the words of Yah. So I think about like what we're doing when we're moving in faith is confirmed by the words of Yah. And many times that word is coming from our head, so it's always confirming um, the vision of the creator. So, yeah.
Right. Right. And when you're walking with that divine vision, right? When you're walking with that Ayin, even when you're not sure, it doesn't matter, because if I'm confident that this is the vision that's been given, right? If I'm confident that my attribute, if Eden and all of the different meanings of that word is what I'm charged to be in the space, which it could be a delight or a pleasure to be around, and I'm not that, right? And I'm not being that, then even in those moments, it's like, well, wait, I'm charged to be that, and I'm not being that. I can be stuck in the notness, right?
Yeah,
the
this
not,
is
what I'm not doing, and just be like, well, you know what? Then that's just, maybe that's not it. But it's like, no, that is it. And this, in the vision and what's been stated in the Anu way, makes it clear that there was intention put behind each of us being given those attributes. So then the charge is to bring that forward, no matter how many times you stumble.
yeah.
If you're not bringing what your name is charging into the space and into the community around you, then you continue until you are, right, you are doing that. And then you may do one piece, and then you realize, wait a minute, there's so many other iterations, there's so many other components of this beam of light, right?
Right.
um let's see. So Chief says, Ayin is the eye, but but it is the eye not seeing / looking. Ayin is the nation, is the notion. You see how close I have to get to that camera? That's a shame. Ayin is the notion of not as opposed to is. Ayin is the emptiness and the nothingness. If you're using Ayin, you are discharging all vision. Right? Because you're not. So you're not at all walking from this to. That makes me think, and thank you for that, Chief Yuya. That makes me think of I know there was a time that Chief shared, and it was definitely in a group discussion, which happens within Anu. He says, you all may think that I'm looking at you, but I'm not. I'm looking over you. Like I'm looking at the creator, right? Which is up here. And it's like, I'm not using, like, it makes me think of that. Like, I'm not using these two eyes to see the ugliness that you may be bringing. I'm looking at what the creator is bringing forth from you. And in so doing, it makes me think that what I'm looking at is what the original vision was for you to be. So no matter what else you may be choosing to not let go of and to not, relinquish, that's what I'm chipping away at. I'm chipping away at what I know the originator envisioned for you, which connects us right back to that name piece. Did you want to jump in?
I'm still processing
no problem
in there.
Okay, no problem. So then there is another scripture that I wanted to bring us to, and it's actually Genesis 3:5. And in Genesis 3:5, of course, we have the serpent, Enki, communicating or, encouraging Eve to question some things. So Genesis 3:5 says, "So Elohim doth know that in this day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. For Elohim doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil." So one, I thought it was interesting that the gods there was lowercase, right? So and if you have not listened to the real Genesis breakdown, please go back. It's actually in the Honor Life Global Ministries playlist, and it's folded into the playlist on Shema. But in the chapter 3 breakdown, Chief actually speaks about, that eating, right? That piece about eating being, which is what comes before the eating being a taming. And that when I think about taming, it kind of took me even back to what you just mentioned in the chat. It's the negation, right? So to tame something is like to subdue it in a way. So it's to subdue these eyes, to not see with these eyes. And then it's like, okay, yeah, if you eat this thing, or if you kind of subdue this thing, or you take something from this thing, then your eyes will be open. But what eyes? Because scripturally we're told once that happened, right. Okay. So scripturally, I'll read that in 1 second. So scripturally, what is happening is, my whole train of thought now. Hold on, let me look at this again. Your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Right, because in scripture, what follows eating of this pomegranate is, oh wait, I'm naked. Right? That's the first, like, so we may look at, I know for so long, I looked at it as if it opened their eyes to sin. That's what I was even told, right? That this opened their eyes to sin, and that, as a result, now you recognize that you are somehow that somehow your nakedness was not acceptable, without ever wondering or even appreciating how that nakedness actually keeps you connected to the creator, to your creator, or keeps you vulnerable enough for you to recognize that you have a divine creator and a divine vision. Oh.
Yeah, I can definitely read. I can
Do all
definitely
that
read.
seeing? Okay, yes. Give thanks. Yes, thank you.
Uh,
So go ahead. Yeah, you
yes,
read that.
yes, yes, because Ayin is what was before the originator manifested. The Ayin is where wisdom emerges from. It is all around us, but still nothing like space. Ayin is like the woman whom we all emerge from. Yeah, that reminds me of like the primordial waters and Tiamat, like everything being birthed from those waters.
Yeah, and the womb, right? And if
Yeah.
I'm to look at Ayin based on this instruction, which of course I am, because it's what's being stated here, um, I think of the fact that you can't see. You may know you're pregnant. You can't see what's happening on the inside. You can only see what your body is revealing to you on the outside. You can feel, right?
Yes.
You can feel what's happening as that fetus begins to grow. But even the, I don't know about these 3D scans, but even the basic sonogram, um, it's giving you a distorted image, because what it's doing is it's sending light and waves, right? It's sending light waves that then bounce off of what is the mass inside of the womb to reflect back an image.
Mm.
So when I even look at it from that way, it's like, oh man. So even how we go about seeing the gender of the fetus, seeing the gender of the baby, is again bringing us to like, you need light. You need
Mm.
light and you need darkness, because the womb, it's in darkness already. Um, and it's always that unknown. Like we're seeking to know what is unknown.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a plant, like when it's germinating underneath the soil, like you can't see it, but it's like it's growing. And then when it sprouts out, then that's when you see it. It's like, oh, okay. And then even like knowing the fruit that it bears, like you'll know that once the fruit comes, So, um, yeah, I do think about like that good and that evil when you read Genesis 3:5, like when their eyes became open to good and evil, like so now like they had the consciousness and the wisdom of the creator, which they didn't have. They wasn't conscious of it before. They were just moving around, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we know, we have this knowing now. It says Ian in Hebrew means not or isn't.
Hmm.
It is related to Ayin. This is where you get Ian sulfate or Ian sulfate which exists on the Kabbalistic tree above the crown of Keter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Ayin self. Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm not. While I'm not going to at all get into any of the Kabbalah, because I'm
Yeah,
not in a position to. What I do find interesting when looking at the Kabbalistic tree of life, I always find it interesting.
Ayin.
Right, Ayin is pronounced like yeah. So thank you, Chi.
Yes.
Um, I always thought it was interesting how everything is connected. And when I mean everything is connected, depending on what you look at, and I'm trying to picture it, yes, you have, Cather, you have all of these components that bring you up the tree, but you also have the Hebrew letters and the numbers, right? So it's like how Chief is describing Ayin and what Ayin represents here. Um, it also is acknowledging that it's taking you on a journey, right? It's like you move through this journey, or you move through these levels in order. Yeah, you move through these levels. Which I'm like, I think it's so interesting. I look forward to digging in more. Um, But when we looked at that, giving you that opening, well, let me go back to the scripture. Then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. I wanted to just share because I will that as you listen to this, if you haven't explored Ayin, that you'll look. And when you look, I want to share some of what you'll find and then some of what it may connect to. So when I initially started looking at Eden and that Ayin, there was a visual depiction of Ayin that actually had two eyes, and they even laid out good eye and evil eye. So I think we have that image. So let's see if that, there we go, pops up on the screen. So there you have Ayin, right? And you have there the like evil eye and good eye. And even interestingly, at the middle there in red, you have the will. So I connected this to Genesis, right? To Genesis 3:5. We can pull that down. Just how the will is what will keep us either focused on this physical somatic experience or allow us to negate, or as Chief said, to not see, right? To not at all use these physical eyes and to really rely on the eye of the Creator, to lift up thine eyes in every moment. So when I wake up, am I waking up offering gratitude and praise and reverence and actually commanding my day, right? Moving based on the vision that has been given. And it's pretty easy for the women of Anu because that vision comes from the head. Am I moving how am I going to move through this day? How am I going to command my day? By moving based on that vision.
Yeah.
So I have a fast.
Yes. She says 1 Corinthians 13:12 says, now we see through a glass darkly. I'm not sure what that means, but
now we see through a glass darkly. Yeah. Safta, can you give a little bit more of the context, how you see that connecting? Because I'll go off on a tangent, but it might be the wrong path. So
Chivia says the I/Ayin is so deep because it is the source of all creation, while at the same time representing non-being. It is our inner power. We can't grab hold of it or even meditate
it into manifesting. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
we can't. So it's. So then with that, let me just.
Can't grab hold of it or even meditate into
that Ayin is so deep because it is the source of all creation, while at the same time representing non-being. It's our inner power. So right, we can't grab hold of. So but it's ever present, right? So it made me think of that carrot. You know how like I don't know, in my walk as like leadership walk, one of the things that I was always motivated to do when getting to know a new employee that I was working with was finding out what their vision was, like what they wanted, right, out of the role. Yes, I understand there's a job description, right? And yes, I understand that what the charge is, but besides your pay, how can I make this experience valuable for you? And I used to always, in my mind, when I would explain it to new supervisors, like, you have to identify that person's carrot. You have to identify the thing that is, in a way, unseen, because they may share it with you, but it's not necessarily part and parcel with their job. But if you can give them more of that, whether it's getting more experience in an area that maybe the job has nothing to do with, but this is just what they're passionate about, my role would always be trying to keep that and keep that in mind. So maybe they have nothing to do with facilitating trainings, but that's something it's still there.
Yeah.
I would create opportunities for them to kind of see that happen, to keep them motivated. So I don't know. Go ahead.
I can see why, you will want to like keep one like motivated, like what are you working towards, but I do think about what was shared, and I think it was the command of the day on choices, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been the one on vision, but it was spoke about like how the creator doesn't dangle a carrot like in front of us and like, oh, okay, I'm playing with you sort of thing. But when the creator gives us a vision, it's a promise. It's saying that I have this promise for you. So all you have to do is just like know that it's there and follow the steps, follow the appropriate steps. But I'm not playing around with you, you know? So yeah, that's what came to my mind.
Right. And holding that vision is that thing that is walking, like you're walking with, but it's not seen. So yeah, I understand. All right. Marjorie Marie says, oh yes, Corinthians. Okay. So yeah, in just going back to that, the eyes, in the Genesis segment, she speaks about the vision springing forth like a fountain. So it's like when you're moving in that Ayin, I almost saw it as like, it doesn't matter how many times the plan doesn't work, right? Similar to what you said, once we're given a promise, this thing is going to happen. Or like Abram being told, look in the four corners. All of this I have given you, I'll give you dominion over, and I'm going to give it to your offspring as well. So no matter what's happening, you still are holding that vision. You're still moving in the momentum of that. So there will always be another way, like, okay, it didn't work out this way. All right. I know that this is what was promised. So it's going to work out. It's going to come in another way. So let me try this other angle, or this other angle. And I did not play the entirety of that last segment of the command the day piece. But in the latter portion, Chief is speaking to, the fact that even with all of the iterations and the changes that he'll bring forward, how far it still is, the versions that he's bringing forward still are from the vision that's been planted in him. So it's like, while you may be able to go back and look at 15 years worth of segments and piece together that, which I, being a part of some of the internal initiatives, I'm listening to old stuff, like archive messages, and I'm like, oh my goodness, he was talking about Ayin Soph back then, when everybody thought this was all Orisha information. It was never that. And it just makes me think of that, when he talks about that sifting, and kind of weeding through.
Yeah, I just went back, was looking at the Tetragrammaton. I was like, oh, this was spoken about years ago.
Right.
But Chief Bi says, Job 28:12, we ka hokmah may ayin tamaste. And where is the place of understanding? If you read it properly without the English downgrade in Hebrew, it tells you that the ayin is that place. Hopefully I read that properly.
Without the English downgrade, it tells you that Ayin is that place. That Ayin is that place. It's a place of understanding. And where is that place of understanding? So that place of understanding would be Ayin? I don't know. If we read it properly without the English downgrade in Hebrew, it tells us that Ayin is that place. So it tells us that Ayin is that place of understanding. Yes. That Job was speaking to. Thank you. I got it. It's funny having someone read. It's like you still got to read it for yourself.
Right.
So it's like, in order for me to understand it, it's like, oh, okay, yes, that's what it's being said. So it's pointing to that being a place of understanding. So I can't get understanding if I'm looking, right? I'm looking at what's happening in the world. It has to come from Ayin, from not at all seeing with these eyes, which, what does that even look like?
Yeah,
what does that even look like? Okay, so South.
Yeah, she says 1 Corinthians 13:12. Okay, so she's expounding on. For now we see through a glass darkly. The truth is not clear, but then face to face with the Creator. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as I am know.
But then face to face, now I know in part, but then shall I know even as I am
I
now.
think I don't know, it kind of reminds me of what you were sharing about the seed of the vision will be open, or like true vision is a fountain springing forth. So like it slowly like starts to open up. The more you continue walking, it slowly starts to unfold and you see more and more and more, and your vision gets clearer, clearer, and clearer. Um, oh, okay, a lot of comments coming in. Darian says, this makes me think of Ayin being like a state of the creative process when an idea is present in the womb of the mind just before you figure out how to bring it into reality.
Right. Because that's the unseen. Right. That's the like you're given something, you're given a vision, but often even in order to have anyone else see your vision, you have to like write it and make it plain, right? Which I touched on earlier. It's kind of like if you don't write it and make it plain, or if there's no vision, the people will perish, which is really saying I'm not present. If I'm not present, the people will perish. If you're not moving in the light of the Creator or the vision that the Creator has given to you, then there is no momentum in your movement, and the people will perish.
Right.
And I think that Chief enumerates that, when, I mean, I think I'll say my life experience is a reflection of that. When I followed or I've joined different organizations, and it wasn't it. And it became clear, in so many ways that this is likely not it, at least not for me. And it was because there was no presence of the Creator there, or that wasn't made to be at the fore.
Yeah.
There was a vision, but it wasn't one given by the
Creator. Yeah. Yeah, think about being lawless too. Like we become lawless when there's no vision. So, Chibia says, Ayin is where there is no creation. It is the nothingness that creation comes from. The idea even is existence. Ayin is prior to that, where there is no creation. The idea even is existence. It's prior to that.
So then that would bring it back to like you mentioned, the primordial waters, right? Before, like when there's void, or like Chief already said, that nothingness. All right.
Margie Marie Art says piggy pack.
Veggie pack.
Okay, I think she's saying piggyback off of Sapta Hava, looking at 1 Corinthians 12, where everyone has their gift, but all deriving from one spirit. It's like that one vision. Every part of the body functions to uphold that vision.
So that would be a reflection of where everyone holds that gift. Right. So then that would be us moving on the one vision. So that actually, I remember when Beyond Way, I've shared this so many times, but I share it because I'm like, I don't think I'm the only one. But it's like when Yanu Way initially came out, was shared with us. I think I had just come out of orientation, and it was a communal Sabbath, and it was shared, and I downloaded and started reading, and I'm just like, I am none of these things.
Oh, no.
I kind of skipped to the part. I think I actually did a word search where I kind of like went to all the parts that were relevant to the woman or to the. I think I'm gonna be put out. I don't think I fit here. Like I don't. And I remember I would say that to Chief, and I just remember each time I said it, until I was told to not say it anymore, and I had stopped. But it was like, if you can see the vision, don't worry about the rest. Like, don't worry about how much you may not be this thing. It like do you see the ultimate like expectation? So it's like if I'm able to walk and strive for what is not in me, right, which is not seen, then I can kind of I can move in the community. I can kind of strive for where we're all walking towards.
Definitely. Our new radio says, "For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known."
As
And
I'm known. Okay, thank you for sharing. That was the scripture that Safta Haba also shared. Thank you for that. And
Marjorie Marie Art says, 1 Corinthians 12, "For by one Spirit we were all baptized into one body."
right.
She says, "Anu is the perfect example. I think of every
hmm
single person who comes in to these segments and present with their own unique gifts and delivery, but it's all for the same vision of Anu." Yeah, that's spoken in the Anu way. Like everyone has to have that revelation and be working towards the same vision. So, yeah, it says in order to move forward as a community, there must first be a divine revelation that compels a congealing of method and behavior. This revealing of heavenly intention keeps all involved from behaving in a way that is riotous and self-sabotaging. So that speaks about too the law. Like we have to be following law and be obedient to that. So our
Yeah.
intention is. And then Master Menelik says these characteristics of Ayin are similar to what is commonly attributed to the concept of a soul. Is there a distinction between the two?
So I'll throw my offering in the pot since I came up with the thing. Well, y'all gave me the theme. There are components of Ayin that when studying that did connect to the soul, that did make that direct correlation. I haven't pulled those threads thoroughly, so I can't speak on it. But yes, if I were to like kind of go into my OneNote and look at all of the Ayin and all of the different paths I can explore, the soul is one of them. That I can say, but beyond that, I'm not talking.
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate beyond that.
Saptahav says, "True, as was said, we can't see clearly until we know who we were created to be."
Right. Right, because there's that vision. There's the vision, the original vision, right? So there's we're moving based on being adulterated. What are you looking at over there?
I
It's
am
so
looking at my
interesting.
notes. I'm looking at
Oh,
my
okay.
notes. Because I was like, wait a minute, that's a supreme mathematics, what she just said. Like having that knowledge of self is a part of
Right.
it.
Go ahead. Just you can peek at the note. I was just wondering because it's like up and over. It's like over your shoulder. I was like, what's up
Yeah,
there?
all these screens around. But it says, when we've been reborn, we come to an understanding that I am Allah, and we have a supreme eye where we can see everything. And we come to the understanding that our two physical eyes are nothing but a gateway to our all-seeing eye. Let's see. I can't. Yeah, in order to Allah, they have to have knowledge of self.
Yeah. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, because I'm just like flowing. Let me get my thoughts together.
No problem. No problem. Okay. So, lately I haven't necessarily posed a particular. I know I did open with a question, and I don't think many answered it, which was just, for those that have received a divine attribute, have received a name in our community as part of a naming ceremony. What has the letters of your name revealed to you beyond? Yes, these letters strung together means this word, right? But like Yakira is really precious again, right? Or a more divine version of precious, which I thought was interesting. Like, oh, I got my name.
Yeah.
But the Eden, or that being that delight or pleasure, and not taking it at face value, as I was sharing with another sister, like, oh yeah, Eden, it means this, it means that, but understanding that it's so much more, and being able to explore each piece of it. Oh wait,
Yeah.
first, yeah, I upload a
Roger Marie said
master.
that yes. TVS says Ayin negates. It can strip coverings off. A real Ayin reveals the soul because it goes to the nothing space. The soul manifests through existence. Ayin exists, but not through existence. It's non-existence.
So if Ayin negates, it can strip coverings off. So by way of stripping coverings off, Ayin brings me closer to, because the coverings, or would, right? Would those coverings be the worldly things, right? It would be like the clothing or the habits that I'm putting on that are not really in me. So if I'm able to strip those things away, the only
Yeah.
thing that's left is to reveal the soul. It's like
Yeah.
if I'm not being any of 6,000 things, more than that. Yes, yeah, exactly. That's what
It's not the
I'm saying.
study in the
Like,
name. She got two.
you
She
got
got
the
two.
letters all backwards, forwards, upside down, round and round.
You got two names in there that you got to study. It's like you have
A
extra.
whole lot of letters. Yeah, no, it's beautiful, beautiful. Yes, thank you. Give thanks. Yes, it means 1,000,001. But just I'm like, okay, so Ayin is it negates. So to be that Ayin, to have that sight, or even going back to the seed, right? Because the seed, we don't know what's inside of the seed. Like the seed, we may be told, okay, this is I don't know, this is a sunflower seed versus, a pumpkin seed. But the seed in that form is not the actual thing.
Mm.
Would that be like, I'm thinking that would be, but then that's still a thing. So no, that's not the ultimate negation. Like that's not the ultimate manifestation. Oh man, this is
Yeah,
good. I'm gonna have to
I,
go dig some more now. Go
yeah. I
ahead.
think about like the strip coverings off. Like, I think about like showing more of our authentic self. But even in showing our real selves, that's still a reflection of the soul. It's not actually the soul itself because we can only reflect the soul here on the planet. So, um, yeah, it seems like Ayin goes beyond what we um, what we can see because it's nothing. But I do wonder if we can go to that space in our meditation. Um, but let me go back up.
Yeah, I think he said no, right? It's beyond what we can receive in even meditation.
Oh yeah, we
So
can't grab hold of it or even
right,
to manifest it.
right. So it wouldn't be there. So it's like you said, it's the nothingness. It's the nothingness. Which even that stripping of coverings, it makes me consider um want, right? That idea of want versus being completely empty. um and how when we're completely empty, like we're not full of what we want, or we're not filled up with expectation, but really just moving in the moment as the creator will have us move, having whatever experience we are to have in that moment. Even the idea of just being present, right? Like it's like, well, what's my purpose? And I remember asking that, and it being brought right back to the topic that was being discussed. Well, your purpose in this moment is this right here, not necessarily taking it away from this to even say, well, what's happening down the road, or what's happening next week. And that's actually been, I think it's in Psalms. I think I have to go back. I have some scriptures that I've just been like cycling through that I want to have down pat. And one talks about not worrying about tomorrow, right? Not worrying about tomorrow because tomorrow's already been taken care of. Like we have to be in this moment, and being in this moment without like the script for what should be happening in the moment. But even that doesn't sound like
Yeah,
the nothingness that's being described here.
right.
So, yeah.
Right, because I thought of when you were sharing it, like the emptying out so that you can be able to receive something new. And I remember you speaking about sometimes, like, as women will hold on to old ideas, like, oh, I already learned that already. It's like, would you empty out so I can actually pour something into you? Okay, yes, it's like Yah. Yah is the cause for all things in existence, but is beyond all things that be as non being. Negation is the key. The more notions you negate of Yah, the more apprehension you have. The more negotiations you negate of Yah.
So the more apprehensive. Okay. So if I'm not seeking the face of the Creator because I'm saying, well, how can there be a Yah when there's war and famine and na, then it's like that makes me more fearful, more afraid to kind of move in whatever I may be shown to do. But if I'm empowering what I know to be true and empowering, as you touched on earlier, those promises, then things that be as non-being, negotiation is the key. So then it's negotiating or navigating. It's like, navigating or negotiating all of those different components and seeing how they present themselves.
Yeah, that reminds me of like our physical existence, like how the Most High had to negate itself for us to even be here, so that there's an understanding that even the Creator is looking just by us being, living beings here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me go back up. Sovereignty says, peace again, everyone. As Chief describes, Ayin, I consider the cipher, which is everything and nothing all at once, the all-inclusive cipher. Okay. Master Menlek says, all I could do is give that. That's deep. Just said right there, brother. Not. I know. I'm saying.
Right. It's like,
you
should have done instead of trying to. No, I want to try to understand. It's like, that's deep. Give thanks. Right.
Right.
Can't do that live.
Mm-hmm. I almost had a 404 error trying to visualize it. Oh no. I immediately thought of all black. But then, is there something deeper than black or more minute than our minute? Mm-hmm. Okay, more minute than our human concept of nothing.
Right. So, that would be that sounds like it would be the stripping. Like that's the layers, right? The more layers, like, can we get as light as possible? It even makes me think of the question, how many towels do you have? How many do you need, right? How many washcloths do you have and need? You know how many times I walk into a Home Good or whatever store, and I'm like, I will not buy a decorative towel or washcloth. Period.
Right.
So we got to keep stripping, even literally.
Yes, is right. The more you attempt to characterize and define the Creator, the less you really comprehend. Mm-hmm. So the negation of Ayin makes room for more nearness and understanding.
And that would then connect to Ayin from the place of leading or that role of leadership. Because if I'm stripping myself away and I'm not taking on more of the superficial attributes of what I think my Creator is or what I think I am, then I'm lighter, one, and I'm more apt to be led. I'm more apt to just take the journey. And for some reason it keeps taking me back to that snippet, the Command the Day snippet. It's like, it doesn't matter how many failures, right, or how many pivots or turns I make on this journey, what to the person who's reflecting or being that Ayin, because ultimately the vision is there. So I'm moving in that vision without, the ego is long gone, right? In that example, the ego is not there. So it's not even a matter of failing or faltering, or how we're told, how we were told even in a study session, and it was touched on in a Command the Day, um, assume and know that you're going to mess up and you're going to make mistakes and you're not going to get it right. And actually, if the purpose in this moment, if the vision in this moment is for us to be here and to build together, that's what matters, not
Right.
my individual wants or needs to
Yeah.
appear right.
So after Hava says that makes me think of a lump of clay that the creator can mold into what he envisioned, not what I want to be.
Right.
Yeah, that reminds me of the same like when a man needs to like or wants to mold a woman, like she has to be, flexible and limber and receptive to that. Sovereignty says yes, Master Menelek. A glitch I could feel my left eye sticking. And therefore we could never then fully or ever really understand it.
Therefore, we can, yeah. Oh.
Marjorie Art says the idea of trying place something in a box, but then if we're functioning in that energy of the creator ourselves, then we will become something that can't be defined.
Right, just like our creator, right? Because if we can name, as we're taught, if we can name your creator, then it's not your creator.
Yeah.
Which it's like, if you begin to explore the names of Yah, you'll discover that they're innumerable because we're not supposed to be able to name our Yah, right?
Right. That reminds me of what it says in the I New Way, like those who. Well,
Okay.
uh,
Nobody's even gonna know what Bobby's is unless they're from New York. So in Brooklyn, I think, or the Bronx. But anyway,
that's funny. Oh, I was just thinking about what it says in the I New Way, like when people come into a higher level awareness, they don't even know that they're there. And sometimes it takes other people to say, like, oh, I see this. And you're like, oh, really? Like, I can't see myself. But then I was also thinking about the podcast on Observer, and I was pulling it up. Like, when we seek to, like, understand the creator, it says, when you ask or want to know what's the point of all of this, from the very beginning, there's a maligning inside of the question. Because the more you ask, it is the more you distance yourself from what it is that you're seeking to figure out. So that just reminded me of trying to figure out the creator or what's the point of all of this. We distance ourselves from that.
Right. Okay, so they got jokes. So Chief says, "Yep, you will tear down a Bobby's Discount Furniture Store."
Yeah, we love a discount.
Bobby's is well known. There's no truth. There's no truth about me tearing down the Bobby's. No. Even though sometimes I wish there were Bobby's here. Bobby's had some interesting things. But anyway, okay. Peace, royalty.
Peace, royalty. She says, peace, everyone. Would Isaiah 8:9 fit this cipher when it says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, sing the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts.
So I will invite you to share, royalty, how you see that connection. And thank you for contributing to the build. So how do you see that connecting to the Ayin, right? I welcome it. And yeah, I would say, my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways. So right. If I'm maintaining that Ayin vision, right, then I'm not focused on, well, Chief has already said it's a negation, it's the nothingness. So if the creator is everything and nothing, right, that just creating all, then there's no way that our thoughts could be aligned with the creator, because our thoughts are always going to bring us back to something tangible. Once we think it, we're making things, but we make the things of the creator. That's kind of the cyclical process my mind just went through. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts were.
Yeah, because I don't know the context of that scripture, but I do think about like how our vision has to align with the creator's vision. But I don't know if that scripture aligns with that. Um, Royalty says, right, I was veggie back from Chipia.
Okay. Give more, because Chief said a lot. So yeah, give more if you're able to, if you'd like to. I'm going to say that I think this build has been fantastic. The
Definitely.
vision for me was really to introduce Ayin and to explore what that sight or nothingness, what that looks like or doesn't, right? At this point, what that does not look like. So I want to just say thank you, number one, Ema Sequoia, for jumping in and being a part of the
Definitely.
builds on camera. Thank you, of course, always Chief Yuya, for all of the instruction and guidance and 6,001 paths for us to take on our journey. And thank you all for sharing. I'm kind of stalling because I wanted to see if Royalty wanted to add, because I did ask her a question. But if you're not able to get it in, you can always put it in the comments. With that, I am going to close out and just say I look forward to seeing everyone at the retreat, particularly the people who jump into the chat who are coming because the Anu experience is open to the community at large. I look forward to sharing space with you all. I know that the schedule of activities will be coming out, and there's so many that I'm excited to participate in and facilitate. Dawning Stretch, and this is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to as well. I just want to give thanks for being in the space today, and I definitely look forward to retreat and seeing the people that I have not seen in person. So, Royalty says, "Yeah, being the cause, and we are the effect of the cause."
Okay, I see. Thank you for sharing that. And Sovereign Eat says Isaiah 55, 8 and 9. Okay, thank you. That was the quote shared. So with that, I'm going to close out. Peace to everyone. Have a beautiful, strong, and of course, we'll be back at it on this Yom Shishi with another fellowship builds, and then we'll just kind of move through move it right on through. All right, peace, everyone.
Peace.